March 10th, 2025. The 72nd Mechanized Brigade, while continuing reconnaissance operation in the Donetsk region, detects a Russian convoy. Noticing that Russian armored vehicles are entering the area in separate groups, Ukrainian forces immediately begin preparations and decide to attack the convoy. The first target is the vehicle at the front of the convoy. While neutralizing this vehicle, Ukrainian forces continue firing at the other vehicles in the group. During the attack, Ukrainian artillery fire also put significant pressure on the Russian units, dealing a heavy blow to the convoy. Seeing that the Russian convoy is dispersing and attempting to move forward in separate directions, Ukrainian forces target and destroy Russian tanks using vampire drones. Russian armored vehicles struggling to advance in difficult terrain are neutralized with powerful bombs. By the end of the operation, a significant number of Russian armored vehicles are destroyed, completely preventing any further Russian entry into the region. This successful operation stands as an example of Ukraine's effective use of aerial reconnaissance power and drone technology for impactful strikes. March 10, 2025, the 150th Separate Reconnaissance Battalion identified a Russian Strela 10 air defense missile system in the Donetsk region. Ukrainian forces monitored the system's movements for some time using unmanned aerial vehicles. After thoroughly analyzing the defensive position of the Strela 10 and the surrounding Russian personnel, the decision was made to launch an operation. Ukrainian forces sent FPV drones to attack the target. As the drone approached, the Russian soldiers inside the Strela 10 noticed the incoming threat. However, their awareness was not enough to prevent the attack. The drone hit the target with perfect precision, causing a massive explosion. The explosion triggered the munitions inside the Strela 10, resulting in a chain reaction and a significant detonation. As a result, the Strela 10 was completely neutralized and the Russian personnel inside were killed. This operation, carried out by Ukrainian forces, effectively disabled a Russian air defense system, opening up more space for Ukrainian air operations in the region. Additionally, such attacks undermine the confidence of Russian forces in their air defense systems while continuing to demonstrate Ukraine's effective use of drone technology. March 10, 2025. Apache 81 OEMBR FPV pilots have shared footage of their operations targeting Russian forces in the region. The video compilation showcases Ukrainian forces identifying enemy positions and carrying out high-precision drone strikes to neutralize them. Throughout the operation, lone Russian infantrymen are detected and directly targeted by FPV drones. Russian soldiers attempting to move across open terrain try to escape once they spot the incoming drones. However, the FPV drones, with their high speed and maneuverability, manage to hit their targets with pinpoint accuracy. The attacks not only incapacitate enemy personnel, but also completely destroy Russian bunkers and the military equipment housed within them. Following the explosions, munitions depots and various military supplies detonate, severely damaging the Russian defensive line. The footage clearly shows that Russian forces are helpless against these attacks and unable to find defensive positions. Through these operations, Ukrainian forces not only clear the area of enemy elements, but also secure the region, gaining a strategic advantage. March 11, 2025. In the east of Pokrovsk, near the village of Tarasovka, the 33rd Motorized Infantry Regiment, part of the 20th Guard Regiment, detects a Russian tank camouflaged within a forest area. Despite the tank being concealed among the trees, it is spotted by Ukrainian reconnaissance drones. Ukrainian operators carefully scan the surroundings to ensure there are no Russian infantry present in the area. Once the area is secured, the attack on the tank begins. An FPV drone strikes a vulnerable point on the tank, resulting in a powerful explosion. The blast causes severe damage to the tank, rendering it inoperable. After assessing the situation, Ukrainian forces determined that the tank has been completely destroyed, eliminating the need for a second drone strike. Although Russian forces attempt to camouflage their tanks in forested areas, Ukrainian advanced drone technology has rendered such tactics ineffective. This operation demonstrates how drone capabilities are negating traditional concealment tactics and further weakening the enemy's position. March 10, 2025. The Phoenix unit of the Ukrainian army has neutralized numerous Russian troops and military equipment over the past week. The footage of this successful operation once again highlights the effectiveness of Ukraine's modern warfare strategy. During the operation, a Russian shelter discovered in the region was first targeted with consecutive drone strikes, completely destroying it. After neutralizing the enemy forces inside the shelter, Ukrainian reconnaissance drones focused on identifying larger targets. Although Russian armored vehicles were camouflaged and deployed among wooded areas and various structures, they were detected thanks to the Phoenix unit's advanced reconnaissance systems. Each targeted armored vehicle was destroyed one by one through FPV drone strikes. According to reports, at the end of the operation, over 200 Russian targets were eliminated within a week. These targets included Russian infantry, shelters, armored vehicles, and military equipment. As it becomes almost impossible for Russian forces to evade Ukrainian aerial reconnaissance systems, the Ukrainian army further strengthens its control over the region. March 10, 2025. The WASP unit of the Ukrainian forces conducted an unusual reconnaissance near Udakny in the Donetsk region. During this reconnaissance, a Russian soldier was discovered hiding inside a barrel. After the Ukrainian reconnaissance drone approached the target and confirmed the location's accuracy, the operator moved forward with the attack. The drone carried out a precise bombing strike on the Russian soldier hidden inside the barrel. As a result of the powerful explosion, the barrel was completely destroyed, and the Russian infantryman lost his life. This operation highlights the extraordinary methods Russian forces have resorted to in order to evade Ukrainian drone attacks and demonstrates the failure of these efforts. March 10, 2025. The 59th Motorized Brigade of the Ukrainian Army launched an operation after detecting Russian forces stationed in the villages of Novoy, Lizavetivka, and Preobrazhenka in the Donetsk region. In the first footage, Ukrainian reconnaissance drones identified Russian troops stationed inside a large abandoned building in the area. After confirming the target, the enemy forces were neutralized through FPV drone strikes and air attacks. The operation did not stop there. Ukrainian forces continued to identify and target other Russian positions in the region, carrying out effective strikes. Armored vehicles, bunkers, and ammunition depots were destroyed one by one. As a result of the operation, numerous Russian targets were eliminated, inflicting heavy losses on enemy forces. The Ukrainian army's precise reconnaissance systems and effective drone strikes have made it impossible for Russian forces to securely position themselves in the region. March 11, 2025. The 61st Separate Mechanized Brigade continues its reconnaissance operations in the Kursk region, where 2 Russian infantrymen are detected. However, tensions between these soldiers lead to a tragic outcome. One infantryman points his weapon at the other and opens fire, ending his comrade's life. The footage provides no information about the nature of the dispute between the 2 Russian soldiers, but the incident unfolds in a highly dramatic manner. Reports do not offer further details about the tragic event, and uncertainty remains regarding what triggered the confrontation. These types of internal conflicts highlight the destructive effects of war and the psychological strain on soldiers. What are your thoughts on this matter? Feel free to share your comments with us. March 8, 2025. Ukrainian forces have been carrying out successful operations targeting Russian logistical lines and communication systems in the region. These operations aim to significantly weaken the operational capacity of Russian troops. Hidden or abandoned Russian vehicles in the area are carefully detected and targeted by reconnaissance drones. Drone strikes effectively neutralize these vehicles, thereby hindering the movement of Russian forces in the region. At the same time, Russian communication devices are identified and destroyed. The destruction of these devices severely disrupts the coordination and communication of Russian troops in the area. As a result of the operation, Russian logistical lines and communication systems suffer a serious blow, disrupting Russian forces' operations in the region. The Ukrainian army's successful strikes significantly weakened the efficiency and effectiveness of Russian forces in the area. March 10, 2025, the 4th Freedom Force Battalion of the National Guard Brigade Rubij continues its reconnaissance operations in the region, where a Russian infantryman lying motionless in the forested area is detected. Since the soldier shows no movement, he is carefully monitored. After the Ukrainian drone operator confirms the target, a bomb is dropped on him. The intensity of the explosion triggers the ammunition the Russian infantryman was carrying, causing a large blast, and the Russian soldier is killed. March 10, 2025. 2 soldiers from the 425th Separate Assault Regiment, Skala, come face-to-face with Russian forces in the direction of Pokrovskoye. A group of 4 Russian infantry tries to encircle the Ukrainian soldiers. However, despite being outnumbered, the Ukrainian soldiers resist, and the conflict continues for some time. During this period, Ukrainian forces provide air support through drones, forcing the Russian infantry to retreat. This support demoralizes the Russian group, while Ukrainian infantry, emerging from their positions, targets the retreating Russian soldiers. As a result of the attacks, 2 Russian infantrymen are shot and killed, and 2 other Russian soldiers are captured. Ukraine's successful air support and effective operations showcase the superiority of Ukrainian soldiers who, despite being outnumbered, engage in the fight with bravery and determination. This operation delivers a well-planned and effective response to enemy forces, achieving significant strategic gains. March 10, 2025. Soldiers from the 144th Special Operations Center detect Russian forces inside an abandoned, ruined building near Pokrovsk. Following the reconnaissance, the Ukrainian infantry group is sent to the area, where they plant mines around the building. After the explosion, they move into action. After the explosion, the Ukrainian forces use drones to make a loudspeaker call, instructing the Russian infantry to surrender. The Russian soldiers comply, signaling their intention to surrender by waving a white cloth. Raising their hands in the air, the Russian infantrymen announce their surrender and exit the building. Subsequently, 5 more Russian infantrymen decide to surrender and join the others. Ukrainian forces assist the surrendered Russian soldiers, helping them overcome obstacles. As a result of the operation, 9 Russian soldiers are captured. The Ukrainian forces take the prisoners into a room and gather general information from them. The surrender of Russian soldiers highlights Ukraine's superiority in the region and showcases its effective operational strategies. March 9, 2025. Pilots from the 32nd Brigade detect a Russian vehicle moving in the direction of Pokrovsky. The vehicle is completely packed and entirely defenseless. Assessing the situation, Ukrainian forces take action and send a drone after the vehicle. The Ukrainian drone operator successfully hits the target. After the explosion, the vehicle and all the Russian infantry inside are neutralized. This operation achieves significant success due to the vulnerability of the Russian vehicle and the effective strategy of the Ukrainian forces, ensuring the efficient destruction of enemy targets. March 8, 2025. Personnel from the 4th Battalion, Freedom Force of the National Guard's 4th Brigade Rubij detect a Russian shelter where enemy forces are stationed. The shelter is deeply built underground to secure the safety of Russian soldiers. After assessing the situation, Ukrainian forces send a drone to target the shelter. The drone approaches and directly attacks the shelter. The explosion completely destroys the shelter. Immediately after the explosion, Russian soldiers attempt to escape from the rubble of the shelter. Trapped under the soil, the soldiers struggle to crawl out through a narrow hole. 2 Russian infantrymen decide to surrender, raising their hands and approaching Ukrainian forces. This gesture indicates that they pose no threat and are surrendering. Ukrainian forces carefully approach the 2 surrendered Russian infantrymen. Once they are close enough, the soldiers lie down on the ground to show complete compliance. The Ukrainian forces secure the soldiers by binding their hands and begin an interrogation to gather intelligence. This procedure reflects Ukraine's strategic intelligence gathering and commitment to adhering to post-conflict human rights principles. After obtaining the intelligence, Ukrainian forces will use this information in the later stages of the war to more effectively target other enemy elements in the region. March 8, 2025, the 107th Ground Defense Brigade successfully completes a compilation operation showcasing the effects of drone strikes against Russian infantry in the region. The footage clearly reveals moments when Russian infantry, separated from their groups, are detected and vulnerably hunted by Ukrainian drones. Russian soldiers in the area experience great panic as enemy drones identify and target them. Some attempt to defend themselves against the drones, but these efforts only lead to their quicker neutralization. Desperately, some Russian soldiers try to shoot down the drones with their weapons, but due to poor timing and a lack of skill, they are targeted and struck by the drones. These efforts lead to fatal consequences for the Russian infantry. Many soldiers do not even have the opportunity to abandon their positions before the first drone attack, leaving them no chance to thwart the strikes. Each Russian infantryman is individually targeted, neutralized, and incapacitated. At the end of the operation, a significant number of Russian infantry are killed and destroyed. Ukrainian forces have delivered a heavy blow to the Russian units in the region, gaining a strategically important advantage. The operation once again demonstrates the superiority of Ukrainian drone technology, and through the vulnerability and desperation of the Russian infantry, a major victory is achieved in the region. March 2025. The 8th Special Purpose Regiment of the Ukrainian Army detects a small group of Russian infantry in the Kursk region. The Russian soldiers are hiding behind an electrical cabin, unaware that they are being watched by a Ukrainian reconnaissance drone from a distance. The drone carefully approaches its targets, waiting for the right moment to strike. Just as the attack is launched, the Russian infantry realizes the threat and quickly throws themselves to the ground. However, this does not prevent the strike. The drone directly hits its targets, causing a massive explosion that neutralizes most of the infantry on the spot. Identifying a few surviving Russian soldiers, Ukrainian forces send another FPV drone for a second attack. Following consecutive explosions, only one Russian soldier manages to escape while the rest are eliminated. Ukrainian forces continue reconnaissance operations to ensure all enemy elements in the area are neutralized. Drone operators detect additional Russian soldiers hiding nearby and launch new attacks. As a result, Russian forces in the Kursk region suffer a major blow, further solidifying Ukrainian dominance in the area.